The truth.
Welcome back again, everybody. It's me, Audie, with Middle-earth Mentors. And today we're doing a video I have put off for a long time. But it's time. And that is Legendary Weapon Imbuement. This video is going to be frickin' long and there's no way around it. This system is rather confusing for new people and there's a lot to remember. I'm going to try and keep it as step-by-step and clear as I can. And list off what to do in order. A note, if you haven't watched my previous legendary weapon video explaining legendary weapons that you get at level 50, go back and do that. That is the precursor to this. If you skipped that, don't, because half of this won't make sense to you. Those are the basics. You need to know them. You should know them. You should have been leveling this whole time with your weapon. So if you haven't done that already, please go back and do so or research it online, because you need to go to kindergarten before you can go to the next grade, right? Like, you gotta know the basics. Okay. Imbuement. I will start off by talking about why people imbue. Basically, when you hit level 100, you stop cycling through weapons. So as you've been leveling this whole time from 50 to now, every 10 levels-ish or however often, you junk your weapon that you're using, you get a new one because it's got a higher level. You use that for a bit, junk it, get a new one, etc. Now that you've hit 100, there's no more of that. This set of your level 100 weapons will stay with you from now on until the end of the game. So you don't have to junk and get new ones. So the work required to get them now to grow with you is much more, and I mean a lot more, exponential. But it's because this weapon stays with you. So instead of regrinding a new one every time, you're just going to put that effort into this same one to grow it as you go. I have heard people say, oh, but this crafted weapon or this drop weapon that's not a legendary, the DPS rating is so high, it's so much better than my legendary weapon. Don't be fooled by that. They're garbage compared to your legendary weapon, period. Your legendary weapon, as you well know, has lots of legacies that affect all your different skills in a different way. A crafted weapon or a drop weapon doesn't have that. So even if the DPS stat is higher, don't be fooled by that, because it is not a better weapon. If you plan to use non-legendary weapons past 100, you are severely handicapping yourself unnecessarily. They are not better. So you want to put the time and effort into this because it is a critical part of your gameplay. Alright, before we start, I'm going to get into what you will need to imbue. We'll open this. Alright, I'll try and explain these easily. Many of these you will have seen already from my other video, which is why you need to go watch it or research. I mentioned in my other one to hoard these. If you get high ones with experience, hoard these. You should have a shit ton of these ready now for imbuement. So heritage runes, that's one of the things. You'll need something called Starlit Crystals. Now this is an Aorlingus one. I will not be using it today because it is not the correct level. As you can see here, maximum target 95. We're 100 now. We need a level 100 one. It's called Anfalus Starlet Crystal. I just didn't have one to show you, but the icon is the same. They look exactly like this. You will need these. You will need an Anfalus Scroll of Delving. You will need Scrolls of Empowerment, also called Anfalus Scrolls of Empowerment. You will also need Blemished Symbol of the Eldar King. I'll get into that in a second. And here we go, here's the last one. A Crystal of Remembrance, or 2, or none, depending on your class. These are the things that you will require for imbuement. I will touch on them as we go, explain more or less what they do, but if you're missing any of these, well, you'll see how they affect you as we go. Alright, so, also, another side note, recently SSG introduced cap levels on crystals, Starlit Crystals, which are these blue things, and the Anfalus Scrolls of Empowerment, which are these. As you can see here, it says max tier 59. Be careful when you barter for these or buy them because obviously they're max tiered now. So if your legacy tiers are above 59 and you buy one that says 59, you will not be able to use it and will have wasted your currency. I will demonstrate what 59 means in a bit. But watch now when you barter for shit, it will have a cap level. Make sure you read that. Okay, so your first step, get to level 100. Yay, you're at 100. Now you could start on your weapon journey. Also, I just wanted to demonstrate the benefit of imbuing. If people are in doubt or looking at the mountain of grind that is about to hit them, it does make a big difference, and here is why. So this is my weapon, my class item. It's my rune. It's my champion rune. It is not imbued. It is ready to be imbued almost. And you can see here, I've got everything at max. This is as strong as all my legacies can get. They're at tier 6. They're all the points invested. So max, Raging Blade damage, which is a skill, 10%. So this gives me an increased 10% damage on that skill. This will never get stronger. This is as strong as it gets. This is an imbued champion's rune. Raging Blade damage, 33.2%. Massive difference. 49.8% blade wall damage on this. What do I have on mine? 15%. And that's cap. Imbuing is worth it. Trust me. Your 2 legendary weapons that you have should be imbued all the time. There are a number of situations where you can have an extra weapon that's not imbued for additional skill benefits. That comes more if you start raiding at endgame. Most of us who raid have multiple swappies. So my characters usually have 4 allies, 2 for each line, like, you know, your different trait trees, blue tree weapons, yellow tree weapons, whatever, okay? That will change depending on the class. Some will have more, some will have less. Some will have extra swappies that are not imbued, but we're not going to get into that today because it doesn't matter for you at this point. Probably won't matter at any point unless you're, like, you know, heavy into endgame raiding, in which case you have a little ways to go still, so don't worry about it. So yeah, your 2 main weapons that you use all the time should be imbued. That is your goal. So you get to 100. You're at 100. Yay! Now you need to get your weapons. The easiest and fastest way to get your first weapon is the Roving Threat Barter. If you join a Roving Threat group and do 1 round of Area Door, for example, you'll have enough tokens by far to barter for a weapon. Keep in mind, the Roving Threat Barters only barter for legendary weapons. They do not do class items. So for me, I cannot get my champion rune from the RT barter. So you can only barter for 1 of the 2 that you need from the RT place. Unless you're a hunter or a warden, because they're freaking lucky bastards. They get to do 2. The rest of us get to suck it up and only get 1. So you got your first one. Yay you. Your weapon. Good job. Now you need your class item. So unless you're a hunter or a warden, you're going to have to craft your class item, have someone craft it for you, or find someone that crafted it and put it on the auction house. What you're going to need for crafting is this. Blemished Symbol of the Elder King. Make sure it is a blemished one, not tarnished or any of the other names. And make sure it says item level 100 on it. There are different level ones. Do not get the wrong one. Places to get this Blemished Symbol of the Elder King. They drop in big battles. Those are the epic battles that I'm sure you've seen by now. Pellar Gear is a pretty popular one for that. There is a deed, Vanguard of Central Gondor deed. If you complete that deed, the reward is a symbol as well. And also the Throne Raid outside Minas Tirith. It drops barter tokens that you could use to barter for it. But that's at Minas Tirith. That's at level 105 and quite a distance in landscape area until then. So hopefully you have your shit sorted before then. That's kind of a last ditch effort. An alt thing, if you will. The other way you can get it is the auction house. You can check. Some people will sell these. Yeah, that's about it. They do drop randomly from, you know, instances and stuff like that at level 100. However, the drop rate is rarer. So probably big battles or auction house are going to be your best bets for that. Yep. Okay, so You got that, you crafted it, yay you. Now you have your weapon and your class item. So now you just do what you have been doing this entire time. You discover them at the Forge Master and you slot them on your bar. So here we go. Plunk them in here to start leveling them. Yay you! Okay? Same as any other weapon. Now, after you have slotted them in here, before you level anything, I want you to go into Google and type in LOTRO and then the name of your class and then legacies. So we'll go to this. I'll show you. I've brought it up here. So I had to type in LOTRO Champion Legacies and it will come up and show you this page for your class. LOTRO Wiki, great source. This is vitally important. The reason this is because for many classes, the skills that you see here are not going to be the same skills after you imbue. They will change, some of them. You're going to want to know what you're getting, because if you imbue and you wanted all of these and all of these changed, well, now you just put all that work in and you fucked yourself and there's no going back. Now you have to do it, start over completely. So don't get caught by that. Go to your class's legacies page where it says imbued before and after. Make sure you're on the right one. So make sure you're looking at your weapon one for your weapon and your class item one for your class item one. You can't share these, okay? A weapon legacy cannot go on an item legacy. So make sure you've got your shit sorted with that. Make sure you look at this far left panel, Imbued Legacy, and go and pick the 6 legacies that you want for the rest of your gaming life. Okay, maybe not quite. You can change them, but just, we'll get into that. Pick which 6 you want from this panel, not from this panel, okay? Because these are temporary. They're going to change. Pick your 6. Write them down on a piece of paper. Okay, because you're never going to remember them, 2 weeks later while you're leveling your weapon and it comes up and it's like, which legacy would you like to add? And you're like, oh, fuck, I can't remember. Write it down. And then, once you've sorted out which 6 you want for the rest of your gaming life, go over to the Pre-Imbuement side and check what they're called now. Pre-Imbuement is what you have now. It's what your current weapon looks like. Champions, pretty much nothing changes, just a couple of minor ones. Except there's one that's good for this example. So, let's say I go down the list and I'm like, yeah, I want exchange of blows melee damage. That looks good to me. That's something I want for the rest of my experience in this game. I want that. Cool. Write it down on your list. Go across to Pre-Imbuement and see what it's called. Great Cleave Duration. It's a totally different skill. So write down beside this one on your piece of paper what it's called now. It's called Great Cleave Duration. Here's why that is important. Because your unimbued weapon, you're going to look to put on Great Cleave Duration so that when you imbue it, it will change to the one you want. Currently unimbued, that exchange of melee blows skill doesn't even exist, so you won't even find it. So make sure you know the names before and after and have that sorted out. I don't think I can make that any clearer. There's no going back once you imbue. You can't unimbue. So really, take the time, make your list, sort shit out. Okay. Let's see what else with that. Okay, so decide what you want. Then you just go and quest and level your weapon. That's where these come in. If you want to get it up there fast, which is what I do because I don't want to spend 20 levels before I even imbue my weapon, spam use all of these that you have, or not all of them. You should have a shit ton. You should have enough to be able to get your weapon to cap without using up your supply. Use these and get it to 60 of 60, okay? Now, by the time you hit 60 levels, you should have all of the legacies that you want. That means leveling junk ones, okay, to level 30, ripping off the legacy from here, putting it on the one you want. Again, check the name. So, you get to 60. You should have all your shit sorted here. 6 legacies, no excuses. There is one issue you may run into. Pre-Imbuement, as you can see, we've got gold ones here and silver ones. Gold is major, silver is minor. You cannot have, well, well, I mean, your weapon is not going to imbue with 6 majors on here. Sometimes it'll go up to 5. I've had a weapon where it imbued to 5. So if you're leveling it, you know, you get your thing to level 40 of 60 and it pops up, reforge it pops up, it's like, or to 20, let's say, pops up, it's like, which legacy would you like to add? And the 2 legacies it gives you are not on your list. You don't want either of those, but one of them is a major. Take the major every time, because you can replace a major with a minor. You cannot do the reverse. So I can't replace these 3 silver ones with gold ones. Now, the reason that could be a problem, I've only ever run into this on this character. My other classes didn't have this problem. You can see here, this is the problem on my weapon. I went to my list over here. And I looked at my weapon, and I picked the 6 that I want. 7, in my case. And then I went to this side and read them. And 6 out of 7 of them were majors. Major, 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 major. I can't have 6 majors on an unimbued weapon. I can't. So what will happen in this case is something I'll get into a little later. I will have to do my best and get the ones that I can do on here. After imbuement, I will then use an item that will open up a free slot. So I'll get that major, if you want to call it. And then I'm going to have to change 2 minors using another item. Now, I'll explain all that once I get to that point, because it could be a little bit confusing. But take note that after you imbue, major, minor doesn't exist. It's just legacies. So if we go to the picture here, you can see here, there's no major or minor designation. It's just legacies. So it doesn't fucking matter afterwards if it was major or minor. The only trip-up point is if you get stuck like I did, where the 6 that you want end up being majors. Don't let that stop you. It's still possible. Okay, you just need to do things in a little different order. So anyways, going back to here, just remember that about the majors and minors. So you've decided, you got your legacies, they're all on here. This is what you want. You're good. Get your weapon to 60, and of course, as you level, it's going to pop up, which legacy do you want to, increase the power on? You pick it, and you'll notice that these icons change, okay? Your goal is to get all of your legacies to tier 6. As you hover over, you can see here, legacy description, minor tier 6, okay? You can see this one is a minor tier 5. So I have 1 reforge left, which I'll show you in a second, to get this to 6. You want these to all be at 6 now. It's just, I don't know, it's just what we do. It's better. It will make your weapon stronger after you imbue it. I have noticed a lot of people, they get all excited, they imbue their weapon, and they're like, what the fuck? It's so much weaker than my old one. Yeah, because you didn't put the time in to power it up before you imbued it. So if you're okay with that, if you're impatient, you're okay with taking a hit in your damage department, fine. Because it won't change like the max cap or anything. You'll just be weaker after. I prefer not to be weaker, so I get my shit done before. Now, this is where some of the items comes in. So you leveled your weapon to 60, but you can see here not all of your legacies got to tier 6. Maybe one of them still at tier 1. That's where this item comes in handy. Scroll of Empowerment. When you use this, it will, if I use this right now, on this legacy, it will pop it to a tier 6. And then I would have full tier 6. That'd be his cap, max. I couldn't use any more. I will not be doing that, however, because I'm going to use it after. So, you're at this point. Your weapon looks like this. You've got all your legacies at 6. They are the correct legacies. If your weapon has passives, this is where your next step comes in. Now, this is what I mean about passives. You can see here these green extra little skills. These are passives. Not everyone has these. Not every weapon has these. You can see my axe. There's no passives on my axe. Okay. This little -143 arm, this is not a passive. Just ignore this. This is useless bullshit. These green things are the only passives that are the only things that are passives. Okay. You may have one weapon with these, you may not, or an item. Okay. If your item that you're using has passives, that is where you want to, just go into here, use the next item on the list, which is Starlit Crystals. Make sure they're Anfalus Starlit Crystals, not Aorlingus, like you can see here. Make sure they say level 100 on them. Same icon. Right-click this, okay? Now you can tell the difference. I have not used any crystals on this weapon. Okay, do you see the difference? The gold stars, okay? 0. I have used 0 crystals. I have 0 gold stars lit up. This weapon, I have used 3 crystals, which is the max on a pre-imbued weapon. So I got 3 gold stars. The only time you need to use crystals before you imbue is if your weapon has passives. If it does not have passives, like this one, you don't have to use crystals before, you can use them after. You'll still require the same number of crystals, and the end result will be the same, but the difference is using crystals on a weapon that has passives pre-imbuement will make these passives slightly stronger than if you didn't use crystals before you imbued. That said, passives are fucking negligible. They haven't been scaled, they're pretty garbage, so honestly the passive that you get doesn't really fucking matter. Unless you're like an incredibly ridiculous min-maxer who cares about 0.01%, you don't have to use it before. I like using it before just because that's how we've always done it from the very beginning, and I like to be as strong as I can right after imbuement. So I use mine with my passives before. So you got your legacies up, you're at 60 of 60, your weapon has passives, use your 3 crystals. Again, you can barter for these. If you're wondering where to get any of the items that I have stated in this video, just Google them. Type in LOTRO, Starlet Crystal, and then press enter, and it'll come up with the locations, okay? You guys have to do a little bit of research on your own. I'm not going to go and explain where to get everything because that would take way too long. Everything is listed online, so do that. There's multiple ways to get crystals, so yeah, you can start there. I mean, the best place, obviously, I'm in Dol Amroth, as you can see. This is where you'll be at 100, hopefully. There's a shit ton of ways to get all of these like crystals and stuff bartered from here. If you get kindred with the area, etc., etc., I won't get into that. So the Dol Amroth will probably be your first stop. Okay, that's why it's worth questing here and not skipping Dol Amroth, because your first hub for scrolls and delving scrolls and crystals and everything is here. Okay, so now you've applied your 3 crystals. So now your weapon actually looks just like mine. 60 of 60, you're maxed, you get 3 crystals. All of these are at 6. Good for you. For now, your runes and shit, this doesn't matter. You can do this before, you can do this after, it doesn't frickin' matter. None of this rune part doesn't change before or after imbuement, ignore that. Titles, same thing. You do not have to have a title before, you can put one on after, it doesn't fucking matter, it doesn't affect those whatsoever. Now, for the next step, now this will depend on your weapon. Generally, most of us prefer to have 7 legacies on our weapon as opposed to 6. Well, you can see here, you know, it's the first stage, I'm capped out, and I've only got 6. That's where this item comes in handy. Crystal of Remembrance, and again, check the level. Some will have levels, some will not. This one doesn't have a level, so it means I can use it anywhere. A Crystal of Remembrance, as you can see right on there, using this crystal will add an additional major legacy slot. That is very important to know. So if I want 7 on my little rune here, I would now right-click this and add it to this. And what will happen is it will open up a blank legacy slot that will be a major. It will be a low tier, though. It will be like tier 1 or tier 2 or something. And it will just be blank. So, if you've looked at your list and you're like, okay, this is the 7th legacy I want, let's say it's, I don't know, plus 5% run speed or something. You will have to have a junk weapon leveled past 30 with that legacy on it, rip off the legacy that you want, and apply it to your blank space, just like you've been doing this whole time. Then you've got 7, okay? That works if your major and minor legacies have worked out for you. Personally, my rune here, I'm happy with my 6. I don't plan on raiding with this character. I'm not going to waste my Crystal of Remembrance on my rune because I don't find any of the additional legacies to be all that worth it. I don't really care, okay? That is different for my axe. Now remember when I said before that the 7 legacies that I picked out, 6 of them were majors? Well, that fucks me because I only have 3 majors on this weapon and I can't put a major over top of a minor, so now I'm screwed. So how do I get the legacy that I want? I can either use this before and open up a major and then do the same thing, pull the legacy off a junk weapon, stick it on here, yay me, lucky me, okay? Or I can use it after imbuement and pick from the legacies that I want on the side panel. I'll get into that in a bit. If you don't want to level a junk weapon and try and find the legacy that you're missing, you can use this Crystal of Remembrance after you imbue. What's going to happen after you imbue is your panel is going to come up. So I'll actually show you guys the picture. Okay, so it's going to come up like this. And if you use your Crystal of Remembrance afterwards, or if you have used it before and have not put a legacy in it, so you just left it as blank slot, it will say just legacy slot on it. You'll have this side panel that comes up beside here with a list of all the legacies that you can choose from. Since major and minor aren't a thing anymore, it doesn't matter. So you can pick from the list, click it, and it will go into your empty slot. Okay? That's how you get around that. So yeah, it's up to you if you want to use it before or after. It really ends up being the same either way. If you use it after, you're going to have to grind the same number of scrolls to get the legacy up. If you use it before, same thing. We're going to open this panel again. We're going to go back to here. Okay. So let's see. You've got all your shit up to 6. You have used your Starlet Crystals, if you have passives. If you want a 7th legacy, you have used your Crystal of Remembrance. These are hard to come by. Google where to get these. I only get 1 for every toon because I bought it with an expansion years ago. I have gotten many since then, so most of my characters always use 2, but generally these are pretty hard to find. A lot of people get them from the store or the auction house. If you manage to find one, they will be very pricey. This is not necessary. This is just a fun little bonus, you know, if you plan on raiding or something. Not necessary at all for landscape questing. Okay, we did titles, we did that. You've applied your crystals. Okay, now, the last step, I hope it's the last step anyways, frick. Before we want to imbue, or well, okay, almost the last step, is another item. And that is a Scroll of Delving. And it looks like this. You can see here, Anfalus Scroll of Delving, same thing, check the level. Now, when I apply this, it's going to open up an extra 10 levels on my weapon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So click it. You only ever use one of these on your weapon, ever. Once it's open, that's it. You never have to do it again. Pick the one you want, apply. Done. Okay. Now we can see here, I'm at 60 of 70. So now I would go run around the landscape and quest and get XP for the next 10 levels. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back by the magic of editing. Poof, here I am. Alright, you can see now I leveled my weapon. It's at 70 of 70. I have not reforged it. This is going to be your final reforge. Careful when you are leveling it and using these scrolls of empowerment that I talked about to get it to 6 here. Remember that every time you reforage, it will come up and ask you which one do you want to improve on. That is the same thing as using a scroll. So careful not to get all of your legacies to 6 here, to tier 6, before you're finished reforging, because then you waste a reforge and you waste scrolls, which, holy frick, you need literally thousands of. So for the love of God, don't waste these. These are like as valuable as your soul in this game, okay? You don't want to waste these. Okay, so as you can see here, I planned for that. I have 1 left. So we're going to go to the forge guy. Just like you've been doing this whole time. Open legendary item forge, reforge. Okay. Now, you do want to make sure, in this case, refund legendary points. Make sure this is applicable, applied, I mean. Okay, I'm going to reforge item. It's going to ask me, select which one you want to upgrade. I've only got 1 left that's not a cap. Boop! Select. Pow. Done. Now, my gorgeous weapon has all 6. Look it up, redhead has, see? This is what yours should look like beforehand. If your item has passives, this is what it should look like beforehand. 3 gold stars, 70 of 70, all 6 down here. 6 meaning tier 6, okay? This is what it should look like. Brain picture here. And we're going to go back over to the other guy. There we go. Alright. Do not invest any points, okay? Keep this unspent. Now, there is one thing that I forgot to mention earlier about the passives here. If you're a guardian, your shield rank use passive is useless in this game now. It has been useless for a couple years. That no longer exists as a thing, but it'll still show up on your weapon. If you're a guardian, you don't worry about using the Starlit Crystals beforehand for your passives, because your passives are pretty much useless. You will still use them afterwards, but there's no pressure to use them before or after. It doesn't really matter. Okay, you're kind of exempt from that. Okay, now I've done everything. I've applied all the things. This weapon is not going to get the extra legacy slot because that will be going on my actual weapon. So I am ready to imbue now. So of course I went to the wrong guy. So anyways, the Forge Master, okay? If you're ready to imbue, if your weapon looks like mine, go to the Forge Master. This is the first time probably that you've clicked on this, Imbue Legendary Item. So click on that. Cycle through the weapons you want to make sure you're getting the right one, of course. Because it'll let you imbue anything at any level. Okay. So I've got my Fuck Swappies rune. Now you can see here, when I imbue, this is what I'm going to get. This is where all my things are going to start. Remember, we have all of ours at tier 6. So it's as high as it goes. We've done our best. I'm ready to imbue. Are you ready? If you're sure you're ready, there's no going back. Before you imbue your item, as I'm about to forget, your available points, put them into your damage legacy. Now, mine says incoming healing because it's an item. Put it into your main legacy. On a weapon, you can see up here, it'll look like this. It'll be 473 DPS or whatever your DPS is, okay? If you're a healer, it will look like mine, or it'll be like healing, outgoing healing or something. It'll be different depending on your class. But when they say your main legacy, they're talking about the one at the very, very top. Okay, it never changes. Invest all of your points into that. For mine, it doesn't fucking matter because incoming healing, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to tank on this character. I don't give a flying fuck. But for the purpose of this video, I will rank it up as much as I can at max rank. Okay. So, like, I didn't spend all my points. Leave the rest put in, whatever you want to call that. Alright, now comes the final step. Well, not really, but the big step. Imbue Legendary Item. Pick the weapon you want. Fuck Swappies. Here we go. Click Imbue. Woo! Now, of course, I'm holding a twig of mistletoe, so I just imbued mistletoe. Yay! I'm kidding. It did my weapon. Normally, you'd hold your weapon up in this heroic pose, or mistletoe if you're me. Alright, you're done. Back away from the guy. Alright, now we bring up your panel again. Oh, look at your weapon! Looks totally fucking different! So you can see here how much different it looks from how it did before. If you go to your character panel and bring it up, though, now it looks exactly like the picture I showed earlier. So, take a good look at your new screen. I'm going to explain the stuff. So your main legacy here, now no longer will any of these, oh, I shouldn't say it like that. Okay. Let's start by examining these. So you see these numbers here? 1 out of 52, 1 out of 52. So you can see here that this is XP bar. It's a progress bar on all your legacies. So now, as you go out and level and get XP and shit, these are going to increase. And it'll move to level 2, or tier 2, tier 3, etc. Up to 52. You can see when you hover over it, it says here, this legacy is tier 1. Current max tier is 52. You have unlocked 6 out of 37 unlockable tiers. We'll get into that in a second. The main thing is this legacy is tier 1, current max 52. So as I quest and level, this is going to change here and go to 2, 3, 4, 5 until the free amount that the game gives you is used up. I don't remember what that is. I assume it's 52. Yeah, it's been a while. This is where you want to use the Horde of Heritage Runes that I told you to use. We're going to click one, and I'm going to show you what it looks like just as a demonstration. You can see that's how much XP it got. It wasn't enough to get it to rank 2, but it does all of them. So now, instead of going to the Forge Master every time you hit every 10 levels on your weapon and picking which one you want to increase, and having it progress up here, it does all of them together. So we're going to hit that again to show you what happens when it changes. 2. Okay. Now, as you can see, these are increasing as I go up. There are no more points to invest. So I don't have, points, and I don't get to pick here, level this one and this one and this one. No. They all level together at the same time. You do not have control over the amounts now. This is why I said to hoard these fucking things. Remember, before I imbued, my blade wall damage was at 15%? Well, now it's only at 3.6%. That's crap! That's weak! This is where those people go, oh my god, my weapons are so much weaker! Yeah, but this is why you need to hoard these fucking things. Grab these. Use all of them that you have. Now it's at 5.4%, okay? Spam everyone until they're up to 52. Alrighty, so what I did there was I just paused the video and applied a shit ton of those heritage runes that I told you for the XP to demonstrate what it looks like. So, without leaving this town, I used the heritage runes, that's those blue things, that, the round blue things. Well, I'll use them all, so I don't have any to show you now, but anyway, you know what they look like. I have gotten my weapon now to tier 45. Now my blade wall damage is 29.4%. I haven't even left the town. I literally paused the video for 20 seconds while I applied them all. This is why I tell you guys to hoard the shit. Now you can see here it's not done. Obviously I'm at 45, tier 45 of tier 52. So as you level, these are going to go up until you hit 52, and they're going to stop. This is where your next item comes in. And what everybody has probably told you about is so horrible in this game, and fuck me it is. Scrolls of Empowerment. The cap tier for legendary weapons right now is 83. So we're only open until level 52. To open these, you use a Scroll of Empowerment. So I've got one here. I'm going to click it. I'm going to pick the weapon that I want, click apply, and it's going to ask you which one you want to expand. Now I'm going to move this so you can see here. So I'm going to do Raging Blade damage. And you can see here, I'm at tier 45 out of 52, just like all the rest of the fucking tiers. So pick Raging Blade damage, apply. Now, it can open to 53. So once the rest of these hit 52 of 52, they're going to stop leveling. This one is going to go to 53 of 53. Like I said before, cap level is 83. So you have a fuck ton, literal fuck ton of Scrolls of Empowerment to grind to level up each of these. So you need to get each of these from 52 to 83. That's 31 scrolls per legacy. If you have 7 or 6, depends, right? So if you've got 7, that's 217 scrolls of empowerment. For one weapon, you have 2 weapons. So you're looking at 443 scrolls for 2 weapons. If you plan to raid, you're going to need more than 2. My count now for my characters is in the thousands. It's obscene! Obscene! Anyways, I won't go on about that. It's a fucking grind. But yeah, anyways, you have lots of time for that. They have recently increased the places that you can get scrolls, awarded scrolls for new things. So it's honestly not... It's not hard to get them, it's just a real lot. And don't worry, there's no rush, you know, I see shit tons of people, including myself, at endgame where our weapons aren't at 83 yet. It's fine. An imbued weapon is more than enough for landscape. As you can tell, I'm level 103, I haven't even left Dol Amroth yet, and I already more than doubled my blade wall damage percent. I went from, was it 15% or 10? Anyways, let's say it was 15, I doubled it to almost 30%, and I haven't even left the town. So right away, my weapon is twice as powerful as it was 5 minutes ago before imbuing, without any scrolls of empowerment, okay? So yes, it's a pain in the ass and a grind, but don't stress yourself out about having to have these, you know, to be the best player. Just chill. You'll get them as you go. As well, remember, like I said earlier, they've added level caps to them, tier caps, sorry. You can see the one I just used was tier capped at, it says tier cap 59. I said I'd explain that. That's what they're talking about here. I'm only at 52 and 53, so I can use those barter ones that say tier 59 cap until all of my legacies here hit 59, and then I have to go find ones that say capped at tier 65 or whatever the frick the next cap is. I don't even know. And that will go with you as you level. The new areas you get to will have higher tier allowed scrolls. Something else I want to mention. You can see here that your weapon will also level with the damage, and your main legacy here. You still have it, okay? Didn't change. But 45 of 45, it didn't increase anymore. It's capped. You can see here it's silver. The only way to increase this now, and same with your damage one or your healing one or whatever you get for your class, is with these. The Starlit Crystals. Again, you need level 100 ones. And they have caps too now, because fucking grind. These are... they're kind of interesting. When you add one, the increase is so frickin' minimal, you won't even notice. It's ridiculously minimal. And so a lot of people go, well, this only gives me 0.01% of an increase. I don't even feel a difference. And you're right, the increase is shit. However, the max tier for these is 71, I think, currently. And we've opened to 45. So you need to grind out that many more crystals for that. That's 26 crystals. So if you want to make this as high as it goes and increase your overall weapon DPS, or in my case, incoming healing rating, which I don't give a shit about, you will have to grind out 26 fucking crystals. God damn it! Like I said, look up on Google where to get them. There's lots of places. Festivals are a big thing for crystals. So yes, using 1 or 2 crystals is useless as shit. Using all 27 crystals, or however many it is, definitely makes a difference. So it's kind of one of those things that it's like, fuck, you can't really see the difference going along, but once you have them all amassed together, yes, they do make a big difference. As you can see here, nothing changed with my runes. I don't have a title. I could add one now if I wanted. Doesn't fucking matter. Nothing but that changes. As well, you can still, with the crafted relic, same shit. Really, it's the same shit. Okay, now, so you know what this new panel looks like. You've got your new weapon. Fucking A, good for you. I hope you used your rune shits so that you can get these maxed pretty quick. Now, if you want to know what your weapon can look like at the very end, just hover your cursor over one of your legacies. You can see here, it tells you this current amount that I have, 29%, yay me. The next tier, obviously, I'm at tier 45. After 45 comes 46. Okay, it's going to show you what the increase will be. They're minimal each, okay, 0.6%. But by the time you use all the scrolls that you've ground out and get the final tier 83, 52.2% increased blade wall damage. That is massive from the 15% of pre-imbuement. Massive! All of your skills are going to be like that. And if you had ones that changed, you've now got new legacies to check out. You've got additional added things to check out. As you can see here, remember I mentioned earlier that my particular one, Great Cleave Duration, is going to change. It changed. There it is. Exchange of blows, melee, whatever it's called. Okay? That's my new skill. So, here's your new weapon. Yay you! Now you get to go quest and level and do some more cool things. What happens if you change your mind? And, 2 months from now you go, I think I don't really use this exchange of blows melee much. I think I'd rather have some other one. But now that you've imbued, doing it the old way by leveling a weapon to 30, pulling off the legacy and putting on your weapon no longer works. You cannot do that. There is no more replacing legacies by grinding out other weapons. You do not have that option. You are stuck with these. No, I'm just kidding. That is true. You can't use these to level. But you can change these. It requires an item that is this. Imbued Legacy Replacement Scrolls. Now, thankfully, the dev team realized that people will probably change their minds as they level. And so from level 100 onwards, I can't remember at what level it stops, I think 115 or something like that, you will get 7 of these Imbued Legacy Replacement Scrolls given to you as quest rewards. So, that is fantastic. I have never had a weapon where I had to use all 7 because I plan ahead. I made my list, I planned out what I wanted. So there has been a couple times where I get into raids and I realize that maybe one skill was probably more used than another one and I want to change it. You have 7 free of these. You cannot change a legacy on an imbued weapon unless you have an Imbued Legacy Replacement Scroll. While leveling before now, you may have noticed a scroll called just Legacy Replacement Scroll. That's great. They don't work on an imbued weapon. They only work on an imbued weapon. It has to say imbued on the tooltip. Again, if you want to get these other than questing, check Google. I don't know if you can, because I have only ever gotten mine from questing. But you get 7, so that's plenty. If you planned properly, you should never need to use all 7. What you would do is you click this, you pick the weapon you want, and let's say I want to replace Exchange of Blows melee damage. When I click it, it's going to come up with that same panel and be like, which legacy would you like to replace? And it will have all of the options possible on a weapon, all of them. So you can pick anything that you want. Obviously, you can't have blade wall damage twice, but it will have the options left to you. So you don't have to destroy another weapon, you don't have to pull off a legacy, you don't have to have that legacy. Just apply the scroll and pick from the list and it will automatically do it for you. You can see here it says you can unlock this legacy. They're talking about this. Crystal of Remembrance. I did not use it, so I have a spare one here that I could use if I wanted to apply this. Obviously, if I had applied it, I would have just another legacy here, right? That makes sense. Alright, so now what? You've done all your shit. You got all your stuff together. You used your runes, hopefully. You know how to replace a legacy if you ever need to. So that's it. You're set. Other than your fucking retarded scroll grind. Oh my god! Fuck! Anyways. Yeah, that's my opinion on that. From now on, these weapons stay with you permanently. You do not deconstruct these weapons. If you want a different one, you just make a different one. You don't junk these. You don't decon them for points or anything. If you deconstruct one of these, let's say you really do decide you don't want it anymore and you make a new one, and you destroy this, you don't get anything out of it, I'm pretty sure. Like before you could pull off a legacy and stuff, that doesn't happen with this. You'd probably get a friggin' little heritage rune and that would be it. I think I've covered everything. Holy frick, that was a lot. I hope it is as least confusing as I could make it. I wasn't able to number the steps because we jumped around a bit, but the pre-imbuement things that I mentioned, definitely do them pre-imbuement. Post-imbuement, do them post-imbuement. Yeah, I think that's it. Enjoy your new weapon. It's frickin' awesome. Hopefully you guys hoarded the heritage runes like I told you about. And enjoy the fucking obscene scroll grind. Okay, see you in the next video.